Hello there, and welcome to Cosette's Enchanted Journeys. I'm so sorry about that big yawn I had right as you popped in the lamp. I guess I'm feeling a little sleepy today. Maybe I could use some rest. Let me try and rest a little bit. Oh. I think I'm going to have some trouble getting to sleep. What can I do? What's that, Cosette? Oh, well, that's a good idea. Cosette says that maybe if we read a story, it'll help my mind quiet down and I can get to sleep a little bit easier. Does that work for you sometimes too? If you can't sleep, you read a story and kind of feel a little sleepier and ready to go off? Yeah, me too. Thanks for reminding me, Cosette. Say, would you like to go with us on an enchanted journey? Cosette will send us away on my magic carpet, and together we can go read a story and see if it can help us get a little sleepier. What do you say? All you got to do is rub your hands together and say, I wish to go on an enchanted journey, and off we'll go. You ready? I wish to go on an enchanted journey. Ooh, this is better. It's a little darker here. Maybe this will help me feel a little bit sleepier. Well, maybe this and a story. I got my PJs on. I got my slippers. We're in a dark setting. And now I'm ready for this really good story. Think this will help us get sleepy? We could give it a try. It's called Goodnight Construction Site by Sherri Duskey Rinker and Tom Lichtenheld. Down in the big construction site, the tough trucks work with all their might to build a building, make a road, to get the job done, load by load. The sun has set, the work is done. It's time for trucks to end their fun, so one by one they'll go to bed, to yawn and rest their sleepy heads, then wake up to another day of rough and tough construction play. Working hard to help his team, crane truck raises one last beam. Reaching, stretching, lifting high, he swings the beam into the sky. He'll set it down right on its mark, then off to bed. It's almost dark. He slowly folds his boom back in, and then with one last sleepy grin, he tucks himself in nice and tight, then cuddles up and says, good night. Shh, good night, train truck, good night. Spinning, churning all day long, cement mixer sings his whirly song. Now, he's weary and so dizzy from the fun that keeps him busy. With one last spin, he pours the load. He's ready now to leave the road. He takes a bath, gets shiny bright, pulls up his chute, turns off his light. He cuts his engine, slows his drum, and dreams sweet dreams of twirly fun. Shh, good night, cement mixer, good night. Dump truck loves to work and haul. He carries loads both big and small. He moves the dirt from place to place, then dumps it with a happy face. One final load spills on the heap. Crunch! Now dump truck's tired and wants to sleep. He lowers his bed, locks his gate, rests his wheels. It's getting late. He dims his light, then shuts his doors, and soon his engine slows to snores. Shh. Good night, dump truck. Good night. Pushing with his mighty blade, bulldozer works to smooth the grade. He clears the way to level ground and fills the air with thunderous sounds. Roar! No one's as tough and strong as he, but now he's as sleepy as can be. He puffs some smoke out of his stack, turns off his engine, stops his track. He curls into a soft dirt bed and dreams of busy days ahead. Shh, good night, bulldozer, good night. Scooping gravel, dirt and sand, excavator shapes the land. He digs and lifts throughout the day. Arr! But now it's time to end his play. A few more holes to dig and soon he'll roll to bed beneath the moon. He twirls upon his bumpy track, pulls up his boom, stretches his back. He sets his scoop down on the ground and snuggles up without a sound. Shh, good night, excavator, good night. These big, big trucks, so tough and loud. They work so hard, so rough and proud. Tomorrow is another day, another chance to work and play. Turn off your engines, stop your tracks, relax your wheels, your stacks and backs. No more huffing and puffing, team. It's time to rest your heads and dream. Construction site all tucked in tight. The day is done. Turn off the light. Great work today. Now shh. Good night. That story was so good. I think my favorite part was seeing all the different trucks tucked into the yard and sleeping and snoring away. You know, instead of feeling sleepy myself, I kind of feel like doing a little more playing. Maybe we could go build a diorama that looks a little bit like the construction site in this story. You can build your own. You just need a shoebox, maybe some sand, some rocks or pebbles. If you have any little trees or construction vehicles, we can make our very own Goodnight Construction Site. If you want to make something different, that's okay too. I'm still going to show you how you can make your very own diorama, and then you can play with all these little miniatures and set up your own construction site or zoo or aquarium or whatever it is you might want to make. But I'm going to make this construction site as close as I can on my own. You want to come and help me do it? Okay, grab some supplies and we'll go make our own Goodnight Construction Site. Start. On my table, I've set a piece of paper that we can work on top of so I don't make a mess, some cardboard boxes that I'm going to make my diorama in. In this Tupperware, I have some sand that I've collected. I've got some rocks from the yard. I've got my construction vehicles to make a construction site scene. In here I have some trains so I can add a train to my scene. I've even gathered some paintbrushes and some different colored paints so that I can paint the inside of my cardboard box to make it look a little more nighttime and dark. Since it's a brown color, it doesn't look very nighttime and dark. If you don't have paint or aren't able to use paint, you can use construction paper, you can use blue, you could use black, and you could line the inside of your cardboard box with construction paper to make it any color, any nighttime scene you want, or you could use a sunny yellow and do a daytime scene. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a minute and paint the inside of my cardboard box, and while that's drying, I'll make sure I have all the other materials that I'm going to use. So if you want to paint, you can follow along with me. The paint I'm going to use through the inside of my box, I'm going to mix a little bit of blue that I have. And I have this painting tray I can put some paint in to mix my colors. Got some blue. And I have some purple because I want it to be kind of dark, kind of nighttime. I might use a little black if I need to make it a little darker. And my kitty is curious about what I'm doing, so he's joined us. I'm just going to lay it on its side and I'm just going to do some big strokes right back here. So I've painted a little bit of the top of the inside of my box so it just has that dark reflection in there. And if anybody's peeking from the bottom and looking up, they can see that it all looks nice and dark in there. And I've just painted just the background. You can get as detailed as you want. You can paint the sides of your box if you want and the floor of your box. I'm planning on putting sand and rocks and boxes down here so that I don't have to paint all of this, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to have the background painted. While that's drying, this is a great time if you decide to use another box to add different features. I've got this other box that I went ahead and used my scissors to cut out. I've made a little archway right here, as you can see, and I've made a second archway over here
so that I can add this into my scene and make like a train coming through a tunnel into mine. So this is going to be kind of a dark part of like the rocks in the tunnel. So I'm going to take a minute while this is drying, and I'm going to paint this all kind of dark blacks and blues and gray, make it try to look something like a rock tunnel. I'm also not going to paint the back of my box. I'm only painting the side that I think might show so that I don't have to paint everything. While you're waiting for your box to dry and you've started figuring out some placement, you can start thinking about what you want to put in your construction site diorama. I've got these little trees picked out that I'm going to add to mine. If you don't have something like this, don't worry, you can make your own tree. You could use some Play-Doh, or you could use some Legos or any cardboard. You can make any decorations you want. You don't have to have any trees if you don't want either. I also have construction vehicles that I'm going to add to mine since it's a construction site. I've pulled out some toothpicks, and what I'm going to do with the toothpicks is I'm going to get a little creative, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun, and I'm going to make the toothpicks into a railway line to put my train on top of. So I'm going to do that in a minute. If you do not have access to a hot glue gun or an adult to help you with that, you can use craft sticks, or you can use toothpicks with some tape even. You can do it that way. You could paint railroad tracks on the bottom of your box if you want to add a train. You don't have to do this step at all. This is just an extra step to make mine just a little bit different. So I've got my hot glue heating up, and I'm going to glue these toothpicks in a minute. I've also picked out some rocks that I found in the yard and some sand, and I do have these little trains. And again, if you don't have these toys, you can use anything you want. And you don't have to make a construction site just because I'm making a construction site. You can make an ocean. Oceans are a lot of fun to make. You could make a mountain scene. You could make anything you want using some of the toys and materials that you can find around your home. Okay, this is something that I came up with some toothpicks. You can see I used 5 toothpicks and I hot glued them where they meet at the joint, just to make it kind of look like it might be a track for a train. And again, you don't have to do this step, and you can be as creative as you want and do something different if you want. Mine aren't perfect, they're not evenly spaced. We have a joke around my house. I say that it's a good enough mommy production. So I always just do good enough, and as long as I'm happy with it, that's all that counts. So as long as you're making something and you're having fun and you're happy, that's all that counts. So I'm gonna end up placing mine in the box, something like this, and I'm gonna put the train on top of it. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and add some of my sand at the bottom and figure out placement. So I've got lots of stringy glue happening here. Some of the trouble with working with hot glue is that happens sometimes. So I'm just pulling that off. And I'm just kind of lining up my track. This one I glued on top of a piece of paper. You can see I got all of that paper stuck here. I'm just pulling some of that off. I'm not too worried about it though, because it's going to blend into the sand and you're really not going to see it. Now that I know where my train is going to go, I'm going to go ahead and just add some more sand. These can be fun projects to make for school too, if you want to show something from a book you read and give other kids an idea of what that book was like and what you saw when you read the book. I've got these big rocks picked out. They might be a little too big, but we'll see. I'm going to place one right in the front here. Maybe there's a rock on top of my train tunnel. Got these construction vehicles. I'm just going to place them, and this is the fun part. You just place stuff where you like it. Add things to your trucks if you want. Maybe that guy's hauling a load, this guy's pushing some. I have different size vehicles. I'm not too worried about it. You know what? I'm going to put a little bit of sand up here. And we'll say that these little guys, they look much smaller because they're way out here in the distance, right? The things that are further away look smaller to our eyes. So maybe that looks small up there because they're far away. And these ones down front are a bit bigger because they're close. Let's see, how's that coming so far? That's looking pretty good. All right, the next step, put rock up here in the front, I'm gonna add some train pieces. And again, if you don't have trains, you can use cars, you can use Legos. This could be a car tunnel just as easily as it could be a train tunnel. It can be whatever you want. I just have these little miniature trains, so I'm gonna use those. Now it's like the train is chugging through the tunnel. This is it. This is my construction site and my train coming through, and it was a lot of fun. I hope that you had fun and were able to make a diorama, and this is something that you might try again on another project, maybe for school or maybe just for fun. Use your imagination and create your own mini worlds.
Oh, thank you again, friends, for reading Goodnight Construction Site together with me. I think I'm ready to try and sleep again. You know, after building my own construction site diorama and reading that story, I think I'm ready to give it another try. So I'm gonna say goodnight to you, and Cosette and I will both look forward to seeing you in our lamp again soon for another enchanted journey.